Scholars, welcome back to the counselor's office. I'm Mr. Game Counselor, and good morning. I'm recording this as soon as I wake up because I was up all night working on the Halo campaign vault script, which is done. It went from 17 pages and I condensed it down to 11 pages. So I got to start recording and then editing all that together for your beautiful faces. But for now, we're going to react to a game that we've kind of reacted to, Palworld. That's right. And we're going to react to legendary drops. I like this guy. He put this video 6 days ago. Obviously we've been busy for the past couple of days playing Halo, but we're going to check this out. That's all I got to say for the intro. I know, very big intro. And yes, he's right. We are drama farming 100%.
Today. Yeah, that's right. We're doubling back because apparently Palworld has broken people's minds instead of just celebrating the game for the success that it's found.
Exactly.
Also for the fact that Nintendo finally has a real competitor for Pokemon. No, you have people that have fallen into psychosis, a deep level of coping that we never even...
If that isn't the Nintendo drones, I don't know what is.
Even thought was possible. Scientists need to study this thing because, man, it's horrendous. Crazy. In the face of Palworld's continued success, and oh man, is it successful?
Is
These
popping off?
Won't let it be. Palworld derangement syndrome, where regardless of
Palworld derangement syndrome, I don't even think that's true. It is literally Nintendo derangement syndrome. It really is, because you're talking about a community that will literally defend every shitty decision of Nintendo. You're talking about a community, and I'm not talking about fans of Nintendo, by the way. We're talking about the Nintendo drones, the fanboy that is willing to, lick the feet of billion-dollar companies, including specifically Nintendo here in this moment, that is got this weird unhinged, I have to put my personality and make it Nintendo. I can't be against them. I can't criticize them. I can't say anything about them because they're the perfect company that, I will try to introduce my fictional child to and name them after one of the Nintendo characters. I don't understand the delusion, the mental illness that is spread. This is unhinged and unacceptable behavior that people are willing to go so far for $1 billion company that will never know you, care about you, and only wants your money.
The facts that are right in front of them, this game has to constantly be under attack. You have people accusing Palworld and Pocket Pair of walking into Nintendo's offices and stealing assets right off of their desks. You got some people that are saying that regardless of what you're seeing online, don't believe a damn thing because this game, it's actually a failure. It's a flop. It's a laughing stock in most countries. You guys just don't see it because it's not real.
It's funny because it's like a night and day comparison to Marathon, where Marathon is a game that it's completely out there. The data, it's data driven. The audience does not like it. And yet the small fanboys that are also unhinged, like Nintendo, Nintendo drones, are trying to say the opposite, saying everyone loves this game. This is the greatest game, yada, yada. You all are wrong. It's the complete reverse. I don't know why people live in these realities where they try to delude themselves. Like, come on, guys, live in reality with the rest of us.
And even if this game is popular, well, the only reason why is because of internet grifters. YouTubers.
It's either something's popular because of grifters, YouTubers, or something is dying because YouTube and grifters. Guys, the reason why my favorite game is dying is because XYZ YouTuber said it was bad. Everyone's a hive mind. No one enjoys or hates, video games. No one comes up to their own conclusion that they don't like something. No one comes up to their own conclusion that they love something. It's all a hive mind. You're all sheep No one is intelligent enough to play or watch a game and enjoy it or not enjoy it. You have to have your opinion from YouTube or Twitter. It's all a lie, guys. It's all a lie. You don't actually like this game. You don't like it. Palworld, it's a lie.
That are only rallying the troops and trying to get people to play this game for one reason.
Oh,
to make Pokemon fans mad. Guys, that's just a side benefit.
It is.
Go on these guys. It's just absolutely absurd. What many people fail to realize is the vast majority of people that are playing Palworld right now
are enjoying it.
They're Pokemon fans.
Yeah.
They're former Pokemon fans. They're people that have always wanted to get into one of these games, but maybe it just didn't suit them for whatever reason. It wasn't mature enough, maybe, or maybe, I don't know, they just didn't want to have to buy a whole console just to be able to do so. Nintendo is the one that opened this door. They're the ones that let Palworld through. That needs to be recognized. So today, we're going to roll around in the mud a little bit, maybe sling a little bit of it ourselves.
Yeah, sling that shit
straight. And we're going to talk about how Palworld.
I do want to say that he makes a great point. I'm also, because I like to talk a lot, going to increase the speed of here. Not him, it's me. Nintendo absolutely got complacent. They do the bare minimum when it comes to improving the games. Specifically, we're going to talk about Pokemon. You know, I love Zelda. Zelda's great. But when we're specifically talking about Pokemon, and they've definitely, and I love Pokemon too. Pokemon is, you know, their games have become complacent. They're doing the bare minimal. It's not okay for the amount of money that they demand out of a console. Wow, they demand out of, you know, video games, and they want you to pay all these extra things on top. It's not okay to be complacent and do the bare minimum. And people feel the same way across the board with other video games too. It's not okay.
Success isn't even over yet. Hell, it's probably not even begun. This thing's only going to get bigger.
Yep.
Normally, I don't circle back around to a topic. I like to stick and move when it comes to the things that I cover. But Palworld continued to gain momentum over the weekend, and while my timeline has been filled with people that have been cheering on the game's success, there have been more people either defending Palworld or documenting some of the highest grade meltdowns and coping that I've ever seen from the darkest corners of the Pokemon fandom. And I think that it is very important to make that distinction, because I don't think that these conversations are coming from well-adjusted fans of the largest franchise in history. No, I think that they are coming from the most terminally millennial rejects that have not only made a franchise, but a multi-
That's right. We're not talking about fans of Nintendo. We're talking about the rejects, the unhinged losers, the weirdos, the people that deserve to be put in a padded room. We're talking about the people that are not healthy for society. We're not talking about little Timmy who likes to play Pokemon on his free time. No, we're talking about the dude that's out there in the streets screaming and yelling, "Palworld stole from Nintendo!"
$1 billion corporation, their god, and their identity. I'm talking about 40-year-olds with Pokemon trainer profile pictures staking out your local Costco and Target in their Vaporeon is my waifu t-shirt while they're in there in the early hours of the morning just so they can sumo wrestle each other for a box of Pokemon cards out of the fear that a mom of a 10-year-old might want to buy a pack or two because her kid came home with a good report card. Palworld's success has broken these people. No game should ever or can ever come close to the franchise that they've dedicated their entire lives to. And as Palworld's success has continued, these people have only fallen deeper into depravity. Since
Holy
my last
shit.
video talking about the game, Palworld has somehow broken yet another milestone, climbing to a peak in current player count of over 960,000 players. That means Palworld has now entered the top 10 most played games in Steam's history twice over. First by breaking Counter-Strike 2 with 2.1 million players, and then now by...
It's crazy because that is a big deal for a game in this genre. And by the way, now it's not just Pokemon in its own bubble of genre. Now Palworld is part of it too. And that is massive. Especially, and this only looks at PC. Like this is PC numbers, obviously, but you can say the same thing about Pokemon. It's only on Nintendo. So it is. We just don't have the Nintendo, one for one numbers because one, you can't track people who are concurrent on their handheld, at least not at this time, especially if they don't connect online.
turning and breaking past Elden Ring. These numbers are absolutely insane. They are shared by some of the highest selling, most popular, and most prestigious games in the entire industry. But for whatever reason, some people have decided that that simply just is not enough. In response to the latest peak, one person had said, this would be impressive if it had doubled.
Oh, no, not this guy. Okay. This person and like average gamer are the two most unhinged people. If I was a fan of Nintendo, I would be condemning these people and be like, fuck these people. These people make everyone who likes Nintendo look like a complete jackass.
The early access launch peak, but it is currently below 50% of its peak CCU. And with only 16K new user reviews added since 1.0, that means barely anyone playing Palworld right now is a new player. They then double down later, saying that the game is completely and utterly a flop in Japan, citing that...
I love that, again, they got community noted and they're citing misinformation. It's crazy how they're so confident in what they say and they're completely wrong.
Japanese player reviews only made up 1% of the game's 442,000 global reviews. This is what happens when somebody discovers SteamDB before they discover statistical literacy. They have the concurrent player counts, percentages, review totals, regional.
I do want to point out, I have always said, I think Steam and looking at Steam charts gives a trend and it's great, but you have to understand that data can be used in the wrong way if you don't know what you're looking at or you don't know what you're trying to find. That is a perfect example of not understanding what the fuck you're looking at data completely wrong and coming up with assumptions that will just make you look like an ass.
Breakdowns. They got the whole forensic investigation laid out right in front of them, and yet somehow they understand less about Palworld's performance than somebody that looked at that chart for about 5 seconds. A non-live service game bringing back nearly 1 million concurrent players
is huge
after its launch is statistically absurd. Even Elden Ring, one of the most celebrated games ever made, returned roughly 70% of its original peak with a massive expansion. Palworld, returning nearly half of its historic 2.1 million players at its launch, is not evidence of failure. It's evidence of an enormous existing audience returning alongside a flood of new players. And using 16,000 new reviews, or the percentage of Japanese language reviews from a predominantly console-based country to be able to calculate how many new people are actually playing the game is honestly ridiculous. The vast majority of players never even leave a review. They cite the 442,000 global reviews accumulated over the course of 2 years, but Palworld sold 15 million copies on Steam in its first month alone, back 2 years ago. Even against that open...
I hate reviews because they both used in both negative ways. It's used in... Marathon is a perfect example of using reviews to make it seem like a game is fantastic when it's just a small population. And then in this side, you're looking at a fantastic game where the reviews are used like, oh, I guess it wasn't that good because it doesn't have that many reviews. I think that reviews are just absolutely useless. I truly do. I think most reviews are fucking useless. I think in most cases, journal reviews are also useless. Everything I think about when it comes to like reviews, like on Steam in general, why do people use it as like some highlight? It's just bullshit.
Month number. Reviews represent less than 3% of players. They are trying to measure an ocean with a shot glass, and they're writing it down to the 6th decimal place. Japan makes this argument even dumber. It is one of the weakest major markets for PC gaming, with console players outnumbering PC players nearly 2-1 and mobile players nearly 4-1. Of course, Japanese Steam reviews are going to be disproportionately low. According to Famitsu, Resident Evil Requiem is the 7th most popular game of the year in Japan, yet only 986 of its more than 104,000 Steam reviews are actually in Japanese. That's not even 1%. So what are these people?
And we do know that the actual developers came out and said that the predominant sales and consumption of Resident Evil 9 was PC. I would know because I was tracking and playing the shit out of that game. So people who continue to say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't. Like, people are like, oh, everything's on console. In this case, when we point out Palworld, you can't ignore it. It actually is on console for specific countries, and Japan is one of those. Even though, Resident Evil 9 significantly PC, Marathon significantly PC, in those Asian countries, they really like their consoles. They love their mobile phones more so than the West.
even doing. They are speaking with absolute certainty about data that they never even tried to understand, let alone even verify.
I've yet to find this cat.
This man is out here publishing Twitter dissertations like he completed the Human Genome Project because he just learned how to divide two numbers. Then we have people who wouldn't even be bothered to misread the numbers because they would much rather just deny reality entirely. Some people are claiming that the only reason that Palworld surged over the weekend was because, well, YouTubers and their audiences were just playing the game out of spite.
Stupid.
Other people said that, well, the creators once worked in crypto, so they just kind of decided that every positive post about the game is coming from bots, scammers, or some coordinated campaign. And when none of that works, well, then they just throw their hands up and ask why anyone cares at all. One Nintendo content creator had said, as people spam Palworld's live player count, I ask again.
I love this. I ask you, why do you care? Why do you care enough to reply? It is such a it's like such a self-report. There's such a self-report. There are like 15 million people playing Roblox right now. Nobody seems to care about. Well, that's because it's a live service game. And two, it's meant for kids. I'm going to be honest. Palworld was not meant for kids. There's no way you were like, here, kids, here's a bunch of guns. Maybe it was. I don't know. But it's so funny that people like this out themselves and be like, who cares? Well, I don't like. Do you, Mike? The immediate response is there is a bunch of games where people are retweeting or posting about Steam charts, but you chose this game. You chose to talk about how you don't care about this game. It is such a self-report, and it's like if you didn't care, you would shut the fuck up, but you do care, so that's why you made this tweet.
Why any of us care? There are likely 15 million people playing Roblox right now. Nobody seems to care about that. It's just being used to argue online. I wish none of us ever knew that metric. The idea that people are only bringing up a number to argue it is hilarious coming from the people that are actively arguing against that number. They care. They care so much that they desperately want everybody to stop looking at it. Why do we even know this metric is exactly what somebody would say when the scoreboard's still on and their team is getting blown out. That number matters because it gives us a real-time snapshot of how many people are playing a game at once. It helps us gauge how successful a game is. And we need that information because it's serving as a warning for how safe that game is for you to invest your time and your money into. As more games become dependent on live support, the last thing you want to do is buy into something.
I know people find this hard to believe, but the more popular something is, the more people are playing something. There's a correlation to it being a good game. Now, there's some instances where good game might have low numbers. There could be some truth to that. Very rarely. But in Palworld's case, big number mean popular, mean fun, good game, safe to invest in, safe to buy. This isn't like a Concord where if you buy it and then you immediately regret your life choices. This is a good game. And so people hate looking at data for that purpose. They hate the Steam chart idea. I'm like, people want, we've got to stop to think that not everyone is privileged to be able to throw $40, $60 out into the burn barrel and, wasn't good for me. I guess I'll just go buy another video game instead. Some people don't have that cash. For some people, that's the game for the month. Not only that, if they didn't buy this on Steam, they probably won't get a refund. So they're stuck with whatever game they get. And so that's something to keep in mind when people are Steam chart watching, is that the quality of video games in certain regards have gone downhill and people are pushing back against that. They don't want slop. They don't want trash. They don't want Pokemon Legends ZA that ends up being just a city simulator. What they want is the classic Pokemon. What they want is the fun, exciting experience. Like, give me Pokemon Emerald. Give me Elite. Hell, give me Pokemon Ultra Sun. Or give me X, Y, and give me Y and X. Give me ORAS. Give me something that is good and exciting. Stop being complacent. Stop being boring and just give me half-baked games. Give me the juice, the squeeze for my money. And that's what people are that's why people are so fickle and so focused on how popular and successful a game is, because they don't want to waste their fucking money on trash
that has no future. There are plenty of people saving their money right now because they didn't buy Marathon, even though there's a ton of people that are saying that, oh, it's one of the greatest games ever made, even though it's struggling to hold water.
Perfect.
Only the most stalwart Nintendo fans could look at this situation and decide, you know what, the real problem is too much transparency. But you know what? I'll tell you what, the real reason why people care about these numbers is the message they send. Pokemon has spent years in squalor, putting in the least amount of effort, generation after generation, while maximizing their profits the entire way through. Pokemon is the largest media franchise in history, generating more than $100 billion in revenue by 2024.
Yep.
And the only way that players are going to be able to make their voices heard over its loudest defenders and also its biggest vendors, people who seem completely happy with just eating shit, is for another game to come along with numbers that genuinely threaten it. Steam concurrent player counts give us those numbers. And on that top 10 peak concurrent list that I had shown, Palworld sits above Cyberpunk 2077, which sold 40 million copies. Elden Ring, which sold 30 million. Hogwarts Legacy, which sold 40 million. These are numbers that actively challenge some of Pokemon's highest selling and highest performing games. Palworld is multi-platform. It's widely accessible. And it gives people a reason not to choose Nintendo now that there is a real alternative that is out there. So when I see people that are tweeting,
do you want to spend like $500 for a Switch 2 that barely has any reason to exist? Or would you like to spend $40 on PC that you already have and enjoy, a game that does things better than the current generation of Pokemon?
Pokemon doesn't have to do anything because it's the largest entertainment franchise, or that they're floating theories that Sony is secretly funding and running an online campaign against Pokemon, or that everyone celebrating Palworld is just pretending to like it just to spite Pokemon fans. I have to appreciate the sheer Omega level ego required to believe that any of this is about you. It's not
Holy
about
shit,
you.
yeah.
It's about getting around you and reaching a franchise that has spent years shielded from criticism, a franchise that has left countless players behind while farming the blind faith of its most devoted consumers by serving them swill at a premium price. Palworld doesn't need to destroy Pokemon. It only needs to prove that there are millions of people that are out there that are waiting for someone to deliver something that Nintendo refused to. And that's exactly what this game has done. And it did so perfectly. It did so for half the price with no DLC, no microtransactions, or no live service. Unlike Pokemon, they make you fools pay for evolutions. What are you talking about? You're not even...
Now, just to be specific, I think that might be a little confusing. You're paying for evolutions. You're paying for mega evolutions and a DLC. But you also have to pay like membership unless you have if you don't have like 2 switches that you can trade back and forth yourself. If you need to evolve a Pokemon, you have to trade someone online. In order to be online, you have to pay for membership to do that, which is fucking stupid. But you have to pay for memberships to trade online, to trade with other people. Which is something that's been around. Like being able to trade with people has been around since the dawn of Pokemon. Like that's nothing new, but it's still pretty shitty that just to be able to play with other people online, you have to pay the subscription. Like, bro, like I can get battling and doing the PvP, but trading, like the trading should be not a thing. And they crank out like there's so many fucking evolutions that you have to trade, and then you're fucked. And then not including the classic, you have to have 2 copies of a fucking game unless you trade with people, which again you have to pay for it. So it's like, okay, either way. And again, that's not something new. But as an adult, as a kid, I love that idea. As an adult and a consumer, it's actually really cheesy, scummy that you have to have 2 fucking copies of a game or know someone who has a copy in order to complete the decks by trading. And now you have to pay for it. But like I said, it is what it is.
Even a part of this conversation anymore. You obviously don't even want your games to get any better. And these plutonium-enriched retards are coping harder than I have ever seen. And what makes this all so frustrating is that it's for their own benefit. This game needs competition. Pokemon and Nintendo as a company needs competition. Anytime any company or service or product is left to its own devices where it has no competition and it effectively has a monopoly, well, they switch from value creation to value extraction. And Nintendo has been running that gambit for decades now.
True.
Now, this is when I inevitably hear, but there are other creature collectors. True. But they've also proven that they are not adequate competition. They make fantastic games. Digimon Time Strangers was great. I loved that game. And I also
need to play it.
Monster Hunter Stories is also really good. But these guys have not made a dent. They've not even made a scratch, and they've been at it for years now, decades in the case of Digimon. Palworld left a gaping wound. This game is massive. If you want anybody to blame for your favorite game being threatened, why don't you try blaming the company that left any room for competition?
Holy.
Put in the least amount of effort possible. The company that continued to charge you more while offering you less, and then sued anybody else that even tried to come between you. You're triggered over parody designs and the fact that another game exists other than yours. Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. It's so sad to see. I would block most of these people if it wasn't so entertaining to see them melt down.
That's me. Sometimes there are people, like, there's a certain level of annoyance where people are so stupid that it's not even worth, like, you'll never convince these people, but it's worth making fun of them. But there's some levels of stupidity that's not even worth, like, making fun of, because it's just at some point it's not even funny anymore, because it's like, you are beyond even making fun of at this point. I get his vibe, but for the most part, you just got to make fun of them. The clowns in the circus. You got to make fun of the clowns that are in the circus.
But we're not done yet. No, we still got more, because Palworld's not done either. Not only is this their second step towards their success, but this is going to be a continued success. And no matter what Nintendo tries to do, and no matter what lies people try to say, Palworld has become inevitable. So we've been kind of leading up to this, but the one thing that really motivated this follow-up video was the overwhelming amount of disinformation surrounding the Pocket Pair and Nintendo lawsuit. People have been spending years now framing that legal battle as something that it never was, while openly accusing Pocket Pair of a crime that they were never charged with, plagiarism.
I want to just point out that it is absolutely hilarious, the amounts of L's that Nintendo has earned. Nintendo hasn't won a single fucking court case or part of the court case. All their patents have been dismissed, even in Japan, which that's something to talk about. We're not just talking about in America, in their home turf, where you would think, like, Nintendo, I think, is known for not losing cases, but in their own home turf, they receive some of the fattest L's. That's an insult to injury. Not only is this game successful, but Nintendo has failed even in court. They have dragged their own name into the mud, and they've been humiliated. Like, forget just like having competition. Their competition took a fat shit on their face in court, and the judges are like, or the people making deciding the patents are smearing it all over their face, saying, "Eat shit."
That accusation was largely left hanging after the game had entered into early access, open to interpretation, and, well, much of that is to the fault of games media. Soon after Palworld launched, a huge portion of the coverage consisted of games journalists and developers that were dragging the game for its creature designs and its premise. Eurogamer, quite literally just angry because the game was popular. PC Gamer, Eurogamer, IGN, VGC, GameSpot.
This is why you should never trust game journalists. I'm sorry. Maybe I like watching Paul Tassi, but you know where his bias is. You understand where he's at. These other ones, it's not even like, what are you even doing? What are you even doing? Like the forced hate and everything. It was like journalists that I don't know if they're paid by Nintendo or they have friends in Nintendo, but it was unhinged the amount of journos that were so desperate to try to bury this game.
Kotaku, all these guys just kept circulating these claims about stolen assets, plagiarism, generative AI, and they were convinced that Pocket Pair had done something heinous. Yet once the game had now reached 1.0, every single one of these guys is silent. Not a single one of these outlets ever went back to...
By the way, the whole Palworld was not taken to court for stealing or plagiarism. Just to make that clear. All these complaints and all these criticisms about how they stole or plagiarized, if that was the case, Nintendo would have taken them to court. That is not what they took them to court for. It wasn't. So that argument, that desperate plea of, oh, you can't like this game because it's just a copy of Pokemon, they plagiarized, they stole assets, that's a lie. Because if that was easy, like, especially some of the fake information people are pushing out, if that was the case, Nintendo would have sued them, and they would. We're talking about they would. Nintendo is literally suing for every little thing that they think they can win on, even though they've lost.
correct their accusations or the drama that they helped spread. The only retrospective coverage that I could find was from Dexerto, which had reported that the person that was claiming that they had discovered proof of the stolen Palworld models, well, they had actually altered those models to make the plagiarism
Never trust people.
more convincing. And despite all their reporting on the Nintendo's lawsuit against Palworld, none of these outlets ever bothered to mention that the lawsuit never had any claims of plagiarism.
Yep,
Their
there it
silence
is.
left the original narrative intact this entire time. The unhinged Nintendo fans have been feeding on it ever since then. We've been seeing these people ask genuinely how or why should anybody ever give Palworld a pass. Then someone responding to the claim that Palworld never stole anything had said, it's not a stretch, don't listen to that dolt. Palworld's first controversy was that it used AI in the character building process by...
I just want to say that I remember this. This is not true. There's no evidence to support that AI was used for this. This is some random unhinged Nintendo drone who just made some absolute bullshit up, kind of like the guy that made up and skewed and lied the PAL to look like a Pokemon. This is the same thing. And then there was also the thing that people were saying that the CEO was all for AI. Like, people are trying to take what he said and said, this is all AI, and that's not true.
Feeding every Pokemon into an AI to mix and match them.
Yeah, this was
confirmed
confirmed a lie, by the way.
About generative AI in the past. Palworld exists purely to create controversy and leech off the Pokemon brand. Now we have people that are, yet again, fabricating images of the new legendary creature Panthalis to make it resemble Kyogre, and the media is there once again helping them to circulate it through articles that perpetuate that lie. Then we see posts that are claiming that Pocket Pair changed the creature designs in 1.0 because of the...
I see this and people are like, look, this confirms they're trying to protect themselves. They're trying to protect themselves. And I just have to say, this is an early access game. I don't know how many characters and designs through early access games have gone through where they change characters or alter what they look like. Like, this is not uncommon for an early access game to alter and change things. Hell, I'm thinking immediately of like Escape from Tarkov, where they've altered their own maps throughout the years and expanded or changed some features of the maps themselves. Like, it's it's normal. It's a normal process.
Lawsuit, and once again, journalists are helping to carry a completely false premise into a wider conversation when every, and I mean every, early access game ends up making massive changes to the designs just by full release. So I'm going to say this once. Pocket Pair was never sued over their creature designs.
No.
There is no plagiarism or trademark case. Nintendo's entire legal attack was built around patents covering gameplay mechanics that they believed that they had a right to control, including throwing a ball or an object to capture a creature, mounting a summoned creature, and more recently, touchscreen functionality used to capture a creature. That's why so many of these journalists who quite literally cheered for Nintendo to sue Pocket Pair suddenly lost their voices once the lawsuits began.
Imagine that.
It demonstrated that while some of Palworld's creatures were undoubtedly inspired by Pokemon, Nintendo was not alleging that Pocket Pair had stolen their models or plagiarized their designs. Instead, these people had summoned the devil and then wanted to cry about what they had done, crying about all these games that were going to get caught in Nintendo's crosshairs and how damaging it would be for the rest of the industry.
It's crazy where they realized how, like, it's the most little research that these journalists did, where they're like, "Oh, Palworld, give Nintendo." Wait, what? You're patenting riding on creatures? Wait, that means I can't. Any other game that rides on creatures can't have that as well, or Nintendo could sue them. Like, what? How stupid are you?
Also why a lot of these same outlets have now surrendered themselves to positive coverage. They're publishing guides, reporting on player numbers, and celebrating the fact that Pokemon finally has competition, all without acknowledging the narrative that they helped create. Luckily,
modern journalism is just like modern news. They will live in the drama. They will spread misinformation because it gets them their journals' views, kind of like some of the grifters online, right? Obviously. But these are supposed to be professionals versus some dude on Twitter. These guys, like, that's the problem. And they kill their own reputation in hopes of getting some clicks to stay relevant. when most people, especially on YouTube, are more relevant with the reviews than these journals are. And honestly, I cannot wait to the day that journalism for gaming comes to an end, or is pushed to YouTube and versus these shitty websites. I cannot wait, because these guys have done nothing positive for the gaming community recently.
Nintendo has walked away with nothing, losing their efforts in both the United States and also Japan, largely just due to the absurdity of their patents. I mean, come on, man. Some of this stuff is absolutely ridiculous, but apparently some of it's also because of Nintendo's most hated force in existence, fan-made games. The plagiarism accusation stopped having anything to do with evidence a long time ago. It has always just been this moral excuse that people have used to not accept that Palworld has earned its audience. Inspiration, plagiarism, stolen assets, generative AI, patent infringement, copyright infringement. All of these things are just completely different accusations that were all thrown into the exact same bucket because accuracy would require these guys to admit that they had lost most of their case years ago.
Yep.
But none of that stopped Palworld from becoming the success that it is. Maybe it slowed it down. Maybe the lawsuits created some uncertainty. Maybe 2 years of people screaming plagiarism, AI, stolen assets, and fraud convinced enough people to stay away from it. But it didn't stunt the game's growth. And nearly 1 million people showing up at the exact same time 2 years later is proof of that. Palworld is not some temporary meme anymore. It isn't a novelty. It isn't Pokemon with guns, and it isn't some early access scam that people thought that they were just going to forget about after a month. It is a defined success with a massive audience. And again, nearly every premium game that is surrounding it on Steam's all-time concurrent player chart has gone on to sell 30 million or more copies. Those are not numbers of a game that is barely hanging on. Those are numbers of a franchise that is being built right in front of us. Pokemon doesn't just have another competitor, they have a monster to deal with. Palworld is offering almost everything that fans have been asking for Pokemon to do for years, and then they go beyond it. Open world exploration, meaningful multiplayer, base building, survival systems, deeper creature utility, and monsters that actually matter outside of just standing in a field and just slapping each other. It does all of this for less money, and most importantly...
Oh, you can't forget the old, HM slaves. They aren't just used to do things. They have more ability, which I'm going to be honest... Like, as much as you can make fun of that, I still liked it. It made the world feel a little bit more impactful. Where now there's really nothing that's holding you back except for barriers. It's like I kind of like that I kind of like the classics of having to have cut and strength to explore new areas, and then when you got those, you got to find new areas within areas. Like that was fun.
Across nearly every major platform. That means that Palworld isn't just giving people an alternative to Pokemon, they're giving them an alternative to Nintendo. You don't need to buy their hardware, you don't need to pay their prices, you don't even need to wait around hoping for the next game to run properly. You can buy Palworld and play it on your PC or your favorite console that you already own with friends that probably were never even considering to buy a Nintendo system at all. And Pocket Pair clearly is not treating this game like it's a one-time fluke. They have a trading card game, a dating simulator, a farming game, more updates on the way, and probably a lot more that we don't even know yet. As ridiculous as the premise is, there is a real chance that Palworld just keeps getting better, keeps expanding, and keeps picking up steam. And then what happens when a year or two from now we actually get a sequel that gets announced?
God, that'd be sick.
They take everything that they've learned, all the feedback, all the mistakes, and all the money that they've made, and they build something that's even bigger. Palworld has already proved that millions of people were waiting for an alternative.
Hell yeah.
Next one might prove that Nintendo waited too long to realize what they let through the door.
Bring evolutions. Bring evolutions.
Pokemon fan, somebody that grew up with the franchise but became more and more disappointed as years went on.
Just piss off the Nintendo drones
from it. I don't like Palworld just because I want to spike people, and I don't make videos like this just because I want to stick it to Nintendo. Though I'm not going to lie, it does feel good to when I get the opportunity.
And it does, which is I enjoy Palworld because it's fun, but shit talking the Nintendo drones is the cherry on top, because it doesn't matter if I like Palworld or not. They were going to still do what they were going to do regardless. And you might as well, like I said, sit back and watch the clowns in the circus.
Opportunity, but I hope that this somehow leads to better Pokemon games. I hope it leads to bigger and better Palworld games and bigger and better games from other developers in the future. And while I fully understand that this is a franchise that wasn't going to grow up with me, and I understand that it's a franchise that's made for kids, I never thought it was a franchise that was going to essentially just devolve into nothing more than premium price slop.
Yep.
That's all it is. They're just farming the people that just keep giving them money for whatever reason. And, somebody needed to step up. Somebody needed to show up and put them in their place. And I think that's largely what's happened recently. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. I think that's why a lot of people are excited about this game and why people want to support it. Nintendo has just gotten way too confident in their walled garden. They've largely just not had any competition, not any real competition. Xbox and PlayStation have just been having a competition between each other to see who can suck more. But Nintendo has just tried to farm nostalgia. They
Yeah.
had this audience of people that have been locked into their console that honestly, in a lot of ways, probably just don't know better. I hate to say it like that, but it's like, if you're just a solely Nintendo gamer, you're not really getting exposed to a lot of other stuff in the wider industry. And
You have
games
no
take a
idea
long
what's
time
good
to be able to get to you in a lot of cases. So in most cases, the games that you have to play are the Nintendo ones. And, give credit where credit is due. Nintendo doesn't have a lot of competition for their games because of the unique premise of their games, the unique premise of their audience. But what that means is that without that competition, without other games to be able to make that comparison to, those games and their quality slips over time, they just get worse, and they continue to, until somebody finally steps up and can take the crown from them in this case. And I think that while Palworld hasn't taken the crown necessarily, probably has for a lot of people. I know that I know none of this is going to stop any of the cope. Half of the people that are trying to half of the people, more than half the people, are trying to tear down Palworld. They're actually just mentally ill. I kind of.
And there it is. Yes, they are mentally ill. You should never take them seriously. You're never going to change their minds. That's why you farm them like the cattle they are. And you watch the clowns in the circus, watch them barrel roll and do jumps and jump through the fire, and watch them and have a laugh.
Really understand that now, especially looking at some of these people's profiles and seeing the people that are posting on Twitter. That's just really guys that are just shaking cups for Twitter chains for gas money more than anything else. But, I wanted to try to do my best to be able to set the record straight with this video, because I thought it was necessary to do so. I have a lot of respect for this game. I have a lot of respect for the people that made it, and I want to do whatever I can to be able to make sure that people get the right message about this game. And for whatever reason, if you have been holding off from playing it because of any of this discourse, ignore it all and just give the game a shot. Because
it's good.
It's not worth it. As I've said before, this game does hold like a very special place in my heart, because it came from the starting of this channel. And I had actually reached out to Bucky, their community manager for
Really? I didn't know that.
And, gave them my thanks and gave them my appreciation and told them,
didn't know his channel started from Palworld.
The game reached the point that it has, and these guys are really excited. They're really happy with everything that's going on, and they're all feeling pretty positive about what they're going to be doing in the future. And they took Nintendo's basic formula and they stretched it far beyond what I think a lot of people thought anybody probably would. Well, I think a lot of people try to say that these games are not comparable. You're absolutely right. Palworld just does so much more. And while it might not be perfect, and a lot of that stuff isn't necessarily refined, what happens when it is? That's the question that you should be asking. That's the question that I'm looking forward to. Palworld as it is already so deep and so complex. It's absolutely absurd. So I just can't wait to see what these guys do next. But I'm also looking to see when these guys start posting some player numbers. I've been hearing some rumblings from some of their people that I had talked to. We might be hearing something soon.
Ooh, can't wait, because I'll be making a video about it. Just a shit on those loony bins. Anyways, I love legendary drops. Very clean, very good. I love the plutonium filled heads. Dude, some of the roast, like the things he says about the fanboys and just the roast is S tier. Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. Link will be down below for your guys' sakes. And if you want to watch it, the full thing, give it a like. It is very much a good time. And I will see you guys in the next video. I fully agree with what he said. And if you're a fan of Nintendo, you should be calling out these Nintendo drones too. Even if you don't like Palworld, because let's be honest, when the circus starts representing your player base, people will start thinking everyone in that player base is a clown in the circus. You just got to make sure, like, hey, they don't represent me. Okay, let's just be honest here. It impacts you too. So I'll see you in the next one. Until next time, don't forget to game out and huzzah.